Good morning, everyone. I'm not going to take your time. I'm going to be very brief and short. I won't per se get to the regulations as much as maybe Anthony will talk a little bit about that. What I want to do, my purpose here is to introduce ourselves, tell you what we do, some of the resources that we can provide perhaps to your lakes and your communities, and I'll turn it over to Anthony. So my name is Sergeant Pete Benelicki. I'm with the New Jersey State Police Marine Services Bureau. We're part of the Special Operations Section. We also fall under the Homeland Security Branch. And our main goal, our main workload is concentrating on the recreational boating. So what we do, we investigate any crimes, vessel accidents, fatal vessel accidents, search and rescues, recoveries, some of the equipment that we have site scan sonar, which if you guys have a missing person, anybody that you guys want to look for, that's some of the resources we can certainly provide to you. We also are responsible for any type of marine event that you'd like to hold on your lake or waterway. You have to reach out to us. We also do what we call outlying lakes. Obviously, we can't, even though we cover, so our main station is Carteret. We have several substations. We have one at Atlantic Highlands, one Lake Hopatcong, one in Jersey City, and we also have a boat in Greenwood Lake. We cover every single body of water in northern Jersey. So as you can imagine, not cover meaning per se patrol, but we were responsible to either respond to any incident or any vessel accident, drownings or recovery to those lakes. So what we do sometimes, and I know there's a lot of requests from different communities, different lakes, they ask us to make presents. So what we do, we have a detail that we set up during the summer. We call it the outlying lakes. So usually it's 2 troopers. They'll grab a boat that we can put on the trailer. As long as you have a ramp where we can splash our boat, we'll be more than welcome to come out. If we can accommodate certain dates, as long as it's not like a 4th of July, Memorial Day weekend, because you can only imagine how busy we are during those weekends. But we can certainly come out, make our presence, and if you guys have any issues as far as your lakes or communities, you can send us, contact me or Trooper Bureau directly. Reach out to us. I'd be more than happy to try to accommodate your request. As far as boat safety courses, I don't know if you guys are aware of any of your community members or lake property owners are looking for boat safety courses. Right now on the New Jersey State Police website, we have a new, I guess it's a link where you can click on it. It divides it by, I believe it's a county.
Yep.
So you can click on the county and it comes up with all the dates, times, what's available. That doesn't restrict anybody. If you live in Morris County, you can click on Sussex. You can go anywhere, but at least it gives you an option. It tells you exactly what date, what time these courses are available. One thing I want to make clear, so we are responsible for anything off the boat. Somebody, obviously accidents, fatal accidents, somebody falls off the boat, drowns, or anything like that. Anything off dock and shoreline, that will be local PD. That doesn't mean we won't come out and assist, by no means. As far as investigation goes, we're strictly Marine Services, so we do anything off the boat. So, let me see what else we got. I think that's pretty much it. And Anthony Bureau is going to talk a little bit about some of the floats and the regulations, and then we'll take some questions if you guys have any. Thank you.
How's everyone doing? Good. So this is great because it's the first time we actually get to interact with representatives from all these different lakes. As Pete said, you know, we're kind of all over the place. We're spread. You know, we're handling Lake Hopatcong, which, as you can imagine, is you know, has a huge call volume. Obviously, we have the whole shoreline from Raritan Bay all the way up to basically a little past George Washington Bridge. But I want to speak today on the lakes, and more than anything, we want to take questions from you guys, because what happens is, to supplement our regular patrols, obviously we want to be able to make some type of presence on different lakes in the state other than Lake Hopatcong and Greenwood Lake. But we want to make sure we're going to the proper lakes, we want to make sure we're going to them at the right times, and we want to know what the issues are at the particular lake we're going to, when we go so we could actually focus on that particular issue. So I know I spoke with a gentleman from Pine Lake and Wayne, and he had said that there was an issue with pontoon boats, that people are operating that aren't registered, the operators don't have boating safety certs. That, to me, that's something we need to address. So before I get, there's really not much that I have to say. I more or less want to take inquiries from you guys, take all the questions, if we could leave here today with a list of lakes that have problems, problem areas, how we're going to go about handling them, I think it's a success. So any questions they want to start off, any particular lake that has some issues they want brought up? Go ahead, sir.
What's the threshold to need your boating license, and take that course? Is it just gas engines or electric engines covered?
So any powered vessel, yep, any powered vessel. So
Trolling engine?
trolling, yep,
Okay.
yeah, yep.
I don't have a specific problem, but I'm just curious, what type of problems do you get called for when you're requested to come in to the private lake communities?
Typically,
Like,
it's
that was a surprise to me, the pontoon ownership, so I'm just curious what other types of.
yeah, it'll be typically, unregistered vessels, erratic operation, being disrespectful to the wildlife and stuff like that.
Jet skis and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's those majority of it.
Reckless behavior, pretty much,
Yeah.
it continues surface up and then we'll just come out.
Yep.
Our lake is a non-motorboat lake. Now, could somebody theoretically, we say they can't, but could somebody put an electric jet ski in the water? And would we have any control over that, or would that fall under your auspices?
So as far as I know right now, there are no electric jet skis, PWCs. However, as we all know, the electric movement is upon us. So the Boat Regulation Commission is aware of that, and some of the verbiage is going to need to be, modified, so to speak, to handle that. Because I know what you're saying, that it's a concern, but it is on their agenda and it's going to be handled.
Okay.
Yep, great question. Anyone have any? What lakes do we have in attendance today? Do we have Cranberry Lake? Anyone from Cranberry Lake here? Because we're working with some of the officers in Byram and getting some details over there. How about Lackawanna, Musconetcong, and Culvers Lake?
White Meadow.
White Meadow. How about Bud Lake? Because Bud Lake's an. Go ahead.
No, White Meadow Lake, but what we do when we register, everyone has to come get a sticker for their boat. They have to have the state registration. They have to have the boating certification certificate to even get a boat on our lake.
That's great.
So
And I know that's what Rich.
Get a boat sticker.
Yeah, that's great, and I think that's a good way to get to it right at the beginning and not have any problems.
Right. And we have a boat patrol that goes around to make sure that people, they don't see any boats without and somebody sneaks in to launch a boat.
That was actually my next question. Does any of your lakes have any sort of marine patrol, anything that patrols? I'm not saying from the law enforcement capacity, but as far as putting out the navigation buoys or going out there for safety, maybe towing vessels or anything. Does anyone have any resources? I know you mentioned that.
Especially on the weekends, and in the busy season, we try to get them out there during the weeks. And they check to make sure people have life preservers and people are,
So what do you guys do if there's a broken boat? Just a good Samaritan who will tow it back in, or?
Well, if the boat patrol's not out there, there's another neighbor that'll,
Gotcha.
it's a close-knit community, so someone will tow them in, but they don't really break down too much, and pretty much you can paddle.
I have a bunch of family who lives in that little area there in Rockaway. Yeah, that's a nice lake.
Yeah.
Yep. Go ahead, sir.
Do you ever deal with the remote control boats and some of the considerations there?
No, that's the first I'm hearing about it. You're talking about like RC car, only boats?
Yeah, where people, sometimes they go pretty fast and they could be dangerous in some situations, so.
They go very fast.
That's interesting, and I'm going to tell you, that's the first time anyone ever brought that up. I'll make a note and look into it. Well, are they getting bigger, I imagine? Like, in other words, in size?
Cheaper and faster.
Yeah, well, with the electric battery capacity, more or less, right? We'll get back to you on that. Honestly, that's the first time I've ever heard that question. Interesting. Where's that a problem?
It isn't a problem anymore. It was a problem at Tupsor, but we took care of it.
I'm assuming that's something that we wouldn't be involved in, per se. It's not considered a vessel. Really, if it's a little motorboat, somebody's operating from the shoreline, that'll probably be local to the, I can only, I don't think there's any regulations as far as that, but we're definitely looking into it.
Right, so he makes a good point. So let's say that happens right now, before we can get back to you with our stance on it, call a local PD. Yep, and then they can contact us if need be. Someone back here had a question? Go ahead.
Up at Greenwood Lake, are you seeing anything where they
lakes are requiring insurance for boats?
Lake specifically or the state?
Well, both, anything.
Just the marinas. Just the marinas. There's no requirement, insurance requirement for a boat.
Yeah, not by the state, yeah.
But if you, I know all the marinas require insurance, obviously for obvious reasons. If you own a marina, if you want to keep your boat there, they require insurance. They should at least.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
I think if you register your boat, you may have to check with your homeowner's insurance. I think they may require you to have insurance if you're gonna register it, but if you're not registered,
I'm not sure, I just don't, I know that
No.
we specifically don't require insurance.
So if you're speaking on an insurance company by insurance company basis, that may be the case, but as far as it stands with the state right now, you could operate a boat that's registered without it being insured, yeah. Go ahead.
When I spoke to my insurance company, small watercraft like that with small horsepower is covered under your regular homeowners without a rider or anything like that.
Yeah, what policy is that? What's the company?
New Jersey manufacturers.
Okay, that's good to know. I didn't know that, yeah.
Because I called to see if I needed something.
And what was the horsepower limit on that?
Well, Rockaway Township has a 10 horsepower limit, so that would cover.
Oh, I mean on the insurance rather. What was their
I don't know, I
limit?
mentioned what my issue was, and they said that's covered, so.
Got it, okay.
Your homeowner's policy, you have to check with your own carrier, but.
No, that's good
that's
information,
pretty
yeah.
standard when I spoke to them several years back.
Now, any lakes have any issues with people putting floats or swim platforms out in the water? Is that an issue in any lakes here?
Would you go through the regulations? Because I know it came up a couple of years ago and there were a lot of questions
Sure,
about,
sure.
what the regulations were and how you get an exemption from those regulations.
Right, so 1382 1.18 is the floats and swim platform statute. Basically, it just says if you have a float or a swim platform, you as a resident with a lakefront, waterfront property, if you have it past 25 feet from shoreline, you have to get a written approval from Marine Services Bureau, from State Police for that. We would take several things into account. We have a new form to help us through the approval denial process. Well, let's say hypothetically you were approved, then you could have it set up past 25 feet from shore. It would have to file suit with the light configurations set forth by the Code of Regulations by the Coast Guard, and that's if we were to stay in the water between sunset and sunrise. And it has to be approved because we want to make sure it's not a hazard in navigation, not an ecologically sensitive area. It's not farther out than 20% the distance from shoreline to shoreline. So there's some things we take into account, but it can be approved, but there's some scenarios that will be denied. Regardless, if you have a float or swim platform out in your lake that's past 25 feet and there is some concern, you can always call us,
And that's something that people leave overnight, that we're talking about, not something that somebody swims out on a swan or a
Yeah.
flamingo, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's mostly something that you leave overnight, some kind of a swim platform or something that's 25 feet and over from the shoreline.
Yep.
Right, but it includes those big mattresses like that the kids
Yes,
jump on.
it would include them, yeah.
And does it include lakes that just have motorboats, or are all lakes including with the trolling motors? Because a lot of the smaller lakes are limited to just the trolling motors.
Yeah, so the statute didn't necessarily say anything about the size of the lake, the horsepower limit, nothing like that. So with that being said, it would include all bodies of water. That's my interpretation of it.
now there's no grandfathering of that, right? Because we have certain things in the water as far as size of pontoon boat or.
So, look, it's not a problem until it's a problem, right? So like if some things are already established, but if someone, let's say, were to make a complaint about it and say, well then, yeah, we'd have to come in and check it. And if it, there was a strong case to deny it and have it moved, well then we would make that argument. But of course, we're not looking to have 40, 50 different lakes come in and go and make sure everything's good. That's not the goal. It's just to say, look, this process is here, it's written out to give us the ability to make the determination if it's a hazard to navigation, if it's some type of problem for the boaters, and that's how we're gonna treat it. So unless we're getting a request or we identify it as a problem, we're just gonna let things go. And then you guys will be the voices. If you think there's a problem, let us know. We'll take a look, we'll investigate it.
Are lighting requirements on boats the same from like inland waterways, whether they're big or down to a small lake?
Lighting requirements?
Yeah, like at night, like a kayak should have a light on it, right?
Yeah, so you're gonna need a stern light, right? You're gonna need the side lights, which are the red and the green for port and starboard. Then if it's, 16 feet or longer, you're gonna need the tow light, the all-around 360-degree tow light to have, that's gonna be separate of the other lighting configuration. I mean, how far do you want me to get into it? The sailboat's a little bit differently, but more or less, as long as you have, let's just keep it simple. As long as you have a stern light and you have two side lights, red and green, I think you're in good shape.
So technically, a kayak on a small private lake should be lit
Well,
properly.
100%, yeah.
The
Yep.
geese are gonna see you coming, Tom.
Just with the stern.
Well, I want them to.
Yeah.
Just with the stern, the kayak, you don't have to have the,
Just the white 360.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you want to supplement that, in my opinion, the more legal lights, the better. What we don't want to promote is, you'll see those docking lights, which look like headlights.
Yeah.
That actually, they should only be used in the capacity of docking, because as everyone who's been out on the water knows, when you have two headlights blaring at you, it makes your night vision, kind of messed up, so to
Okay.
speak. Great question, though, thank you. Anyone else? Oh, go ahead.
So does you were talking about you have 2 troopers with a boat on the trailer, do you randomly go to what you call the outlying lanes?
so we have details we set up, we usually try to do it, every weekend, if not, maybe every other weekend, we'll set up, and most of them are, like I said, based on requests from either lakes or communities. Sometimes we'll just show up unannounced, because what happens is that if you have a problem, let's say I'm gonna use Cranberry Lake, for example, not that anybody's from Cranberry Lake here, it's a bad lake, but what I'm saying is that they send a request, and of course they put some, they have a problem, let's say for reckless operation. They'll post it all over Facebook, state police is coming out on Saturday, guess what, there's no one out on the lake. So it kind of defeats the purpose, but yeah, like I said, we'll have, usually have 2 troopers, we'll hook a boat up, as long as you have somewhere where we can put the boat in the water, we coordinate it with whoever has the key to the ramp or whatever the gate is, and we'll come out based on the request, at least we'll try to accommodate it.
But you're saying on a request, but do you just go and say, I'm going
Sometimes we do, yeah, sometimes we do. With the private lake communities, obviously it's a little bit harder, because usually you guys have a ramp that's locked up. We can't just show up, because now we're calling everybody like we're here with a trailer, and then how do we get it to the lake? So.
Give us 10 minutes to notify everybody.
Exactly.
Do you wash your boat between water bodies?
Yes, we do.
Good answer.
Yeah, no, we're aware of the different organisms, and you don't want them going from lake to lake. We understand that, and that actually makes a lot of sense, yep.
And the boats that we trail are actually are ready boats, so they're never actually in the lake. Sitting on the lake per se, only to the lake that we go to. We'll pull it out, put it back in the trailer, wash it off, and it sits until we use it next time. It's not like this boat sits in Lake Opagon, let's say, and then we pull it out, and then, so we have a bunch of ready boats that's specifically for that
But
detail.
if one day you're going to a couple of different lakes, you wash.
Correct. Like I said, the issue is though, is somebody posted on Facebook that we'll go Cranberry Lake, and there's no one out there, now we look, okay? So it's kind of defeats the purpose,
But reading between the lines, we're understanding your concern built into that question. And of course, we're going to make sure the boats stay clean and we're not cross-contaminating any harmful algal bloom. No, we're completely understanding of that. That's not, we don't want to have anything negative come from a positive detail. So we'll make sure that, that information remains fluid in our agency. So thank you for bringing that up.
Go ahead, sir.
Do you guys ever do undercover, like spec work around the home?
Can't tell you.
Maybe we do, maybe we don't.
No, we do. That's part of it.
Yeah, you mean me personally?
Not it defeats the purpose.
No, good question. And yes, that is a tactic we use.
Hindsight, right?
I was going to make a point, but you had a question?
You can make your point first.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask about, when you're talking about kind of internal security patrols, marine patrols, are you finding that they're effective on things, like you mentioned, boats that don't have PFDs or, kind of legal issues? Are you finding them to be effective? I can understand safety issues or when people are in need of help, but when you kind of have just an internal private, whether they're paid security guards, marine patrols, or whatever, I feel like if they came up to some of our members, and said, oh, well, you don't have the proper PFDs, our members are like, so do you encounter that, or like, is that? does that not really, are you finding that doesn't really happen with kind of internal security type programs?
Rich would have to take that question. So you're saying that the non-law enforcement officers
Correct,
who are...
like you were talking about, like this guy's gentleman said that, you know, you have an internal, whether it's security or whoever that's kind of.
I personally think they're very effective, because we
Okay,
don't
I'm
get
just
many
curious,
calls.
like-
Yeah, they're effective, because we don't get many calls from Rich and everything else. I think they make a great difference, you know?
Yeah, it's something that we've talked about, but just never really enforced.
You have to
or,
have-
you know, initiated because we weren't sure.
You have to have viable rules and regulations that are posted and enforceable, all right? So here at Lake Mohawk, we have a Marine Patrol. It's been in effect since the 70s, all right? And it's pretty effective, but it's more safety oriented. And what happens is you say that, okay, we'll stop boats that are overloaded. I mean, we have like 800 boats registered on this lake. You know, 4th of July, we have 1,200. You know, all of a sudden they're and their mothers come out on the boat, you know, and they're all overloaded. And what happens is we'll stop them, and you don't have enough PADs, we send you in. What happens is that we had the thing that what happens is that unfortunately these guys don't have that capacity, but they can order the boat in. But the thing is, we can revoke the boating privileges for the lake. All right, so what
So
happens
it's very
is
tied
that,
in with
you know,
rules and
we gotta be
regulations
nice
and
to us.
the penalty structure.
So what happens is, yeah, you know, first one's on us, and then what happens is, second one, we get called into here, we have a Marine Services Committee, and it's like a trial. And what happens is that, you know, it'll be either remediation, you have to take a boating safety class all over again, or you're gonna be suspended for the summer, or what's gonna happen is your boating privileges are revoked for 1 year, and you're gonna have to take the boat off the lake.
And this group is completely separate from your kind of land-based security, I assume, right?
Yes, completely different. Completely different.
And not to mention, just to go back to what Rich said, not to mention you have a Marine Patrol that can respond right away. As opposed to if you call the state police, you know, we could be, you know, remote, you know, or even the
Right.
local police or the fire department. By the time they put the boat in the water, they're right there on the spot and they can pretty much handle any situation. They're trained for that. So it's definitely beneficial.
We work closely with these guys too. I mean, you know, they're in contact with us, we're in contact with them. You know, if we have a minor boating accident or whatever, and they're tied up someplace or whatever, we'll take a report, and then they'll come back up, and then we'll give it to them. Or if it's obviously a really serious one, they're like in a flash, they're there, you know.
Thank you.
So, but yeah, we found it's been very effective. White Meadow Lake has one, Cobra Lake has one, has a Marine Patrol. Those are the 3 that I know.
You have one in Owasso.
Where's that?
Owasso.
Rock.
And if any of the small marine patrols on the private lakes, because to be honest with you, I was only aware of the one here at Lake Mohawk. So if you had any questions or anything, feel free. You know, we could at least give you the best advice that we think would help you, or we could have a little sit down with you if need be. You know, if you had any concerns. The rental boat industry. You may or may not know that you could rent a boat without having a boating safety cert. Everyone knows that for the length of the rental. So this year we're going to have a stronger oversight over that particular area of the industry, and we're going to do that by making sure that the business owners are up to speed with their knowledge, that the pre-rental instruction going out to the customers who don't have boating safety certs is accurate and getting all the points across, meaning the training that you get for that, you know, 1-day rental boating license. So, you know, we think that's good. We think that's going to be a step in the right direction, which brings me to my question to you guys. Does anyone have any type of rental boat business, you know, little something, anything going on in your lakes? If you do, if you feel like you came across one that just popped up, please don't hesitate. Let me or Pete know, because that's good information. We want to make sure that they get all the laws and the understanding on how to function correctly if they're going to open a business. So I just wanted to put that out there. Any other questions? Go ahead, sir.
That would just be for renting a power boat?
A power boat, correct. Yep.
When do you get involved with environmental issues, spills from boats sinking?
Would we, you say?
Yeah, when I was supposed to call you if there's a boat leaking?
Because anytime you have a possible pollution hazard, anything originating from a boat or from shoreline, call us, and then we'll call DEP and we'll work together on the case. DEP would head anything pollution related, under Title 58, but we would, of course, if a boat accident was involved, we would be handling that. And a boat accident in any lake, we'll handle. Go ahead.
Do you have any handouts like our patrol can give to people when they don't have a life jacket? We tell them, you need a life jacket for each person, or whatever we tell them. And for the most part, when the patrol guy sees them the next time, they do have it. But we get something to hand out, that was from the state police to say, this is what is required.
Sure, I mean,
They might have a little more.
yeah, there's a sheet. Matter of fact, I was just looking at it. Do we hand them out to every time we interact with someone? No, we don't. Is it a good idea? Yeah, but you know what? I believe it's on our website. I'll check when we leave. If it's not, we'll get it up there. That would probably be the most effective way to have access to it. On the subject of equipment, the required equipment set forth by the Coast Guard, believe it or not, on Wednesday, the 29th, we're filming 6 different videos. We're working with Hopatcong Police Department, and they're going to be boat safety videos. They're going to be about a minute in length, give or take. Well, actually, probably 1 to 3 minutes in length. We're going to cover 6 topics, and one of the topics is the equipment needed before you go out on the water that needs to be present in your boat. Obviously, one of which is enough PFDs for everyone on board. But we think these videos, once they're circulated, they'll be a big step in the right direction in getting the rules, laws put forward, keep, safe boating community prospering. Go ahead, sir.
Going back to the boat rental thing.
Yep.
There's actually an app now, kind of like, I don't know if you've heard of like the Turo app, where people could rent their car out for the day or for the week or something. I saw an actual app where people can rent their boat out for a day or whatever. Would that fall under the same?
Yeah, so, that's similar to like the Airbnb where they have a boat come with the house. Be honest with you, at this present time, it's not falling into the category that we're speaking about with the rental boat businesses. It's definitely concerning. It's been brought up as a concern, so what state does with it, we'll see, but thank you for pointing that out, yeah. Go ahead.
Back to the swim platforms and floats, is there a size like that kicks in, or is it for any size swim?
No, the statute doesn't read a particular size. It's the distance from the shoreline. So, just to remind you, the thought process is because it's not going to be on a chart.
Yep.
That, let's say hypothetically it's a 10-foot float and it's not on the chart. You're driving at night.
Yep.
You could hit it. Yep. Did you have a question back there?
Yeah, with regard to the videos, are they going to be available for us to actually post on our website?
So I'm gonna have to get back, and who are you?
Lake Mohawk.
Lake Mohawk.
Yeah.
So I have to have another meeting with put it this way, once we get done filming them, we're gonna then focus on what social media, outlets they're gonna go to. I don't have that answer right now, but that will be determined. We're shooting for a deadline of mid-May to get them out, so we'll get that information before then. Can I contact you through Rich?
Yeah.
Perfect, yeah, perfect. Any other questions?
Just real quick, just to dovetail on what Pete said about the boating safety classes, that it's on their website there. Our Coast Guard auxiliary here, stationed out at Lake Hopatcong, does a lot of classes. We do a lot of them here, and we're doing a lot more, but we are looking for other venues. All right, we do like 4 here a year, and then we do a lot down at Lake Hopatcong, all-day ones, we do 2-day night ones. So if you have a lake that wants to do it, just contact me, and I can get the Coast Guard auxiliary to come up and do a couple of classes for you if you want up there. And we'll go anywhere.
And one thing I want to say before we close out, just if you guys have an issue, obviously if it's an imminent danger or anything, obviously call your local police department before you call us. You can call us on anything if you have any questions, if you think it's a gray area, you don't know if the state police would respond, the worst thing we tell you is they're not going to respond. But anything obvious, accident investigations, fatalities, drownings, search and rescues. And we are a 24/7, 365 days a year operation. So we might have it scheduled to certain hours. However, we're all troopers, we're on recall. So we have certain troopers that are on recall for a certain weekend. So if say the station doesn't pick up, you can call 911 and they'll tell you, they'll wake us up at night. We'll get everybody up and we'll do the search and rescue or whatever that is needed. So please don't hesitate. The phone numbers here, that main station is Carteret Station. And then Lake Hopatcong Station on the bottom is usually, Carteret's the best way off-season. Lake Hopatcong Station is probably good for, during the season, summertime.
Yep, so anything that happens on the water, any crime, any accident, any death, anything, we want to know about. So make sure, keep that in your mind. We'll be doing the investigation for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, and if any other questions come to mind or any requests for us, us to try to get to your particular lake, please let us know and just include in the email the nature of the request as terms, include how we're going to go about accessing with our boat, what the problem areas are so we could focus on that, and just a contact name for someone when we go up there. Thank you.
Do you have your email?